And we're ready for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to all to the webinar, The Future of Food Sustainability Through the Eyes of Italian and Indian Startup. It's a pleasure for me to share the stage with two of the most important institutions in the field of agri-food, the Future Food Institute, Bologna, represented today by, I've seen Sara Roversi, thank you so much for coming, in Claudia Laricchia, Head of Institutional Relation, and Good Food Institute, active in the smart protein, and represented today by its Managing Director, Varun Deshpande. We kicked off the 6th edition of the World Week of Italian Cuisine in India last Saturday with a series of events in which we shared our culinary specialties with our Indian friends and explored the taste of Italy thanks to the collaboration with the Italian Michelin star chef Adriano Baldassare. This year, given the consequences of the pandemic on many businesses, we want to support the ecosystem of Italian restaurants that operate in India. To this end, we partnered with Easy Diner, an innovative platform, digital platform, very active in the restaurant business and offered a special window to over 30 Italian restaurants in Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata for this week. By the way, Easy Diner is providing free membership to the audience of this webinar. This event aims at exploring the new frontiers of the agribusiness sector. We will hear from Future Food Institute and Good Food Institute. Moreover, we invited 6 startups active in the field to learn more about the future of sustainability and, in general, how they foster sustainability through innovative business and new technique that facilitate circular economy, reduce food waste, and overall let us live a healthier and more sustainable life. This is very important and is also one of the core pillars of the partnership between Italy and India. In fact, we are focusing our cooperation on energy transition and sustainability, and also on advanced manufacturing and food processing, with the aim of creating more sustainable living conditions and combating climate change together. Our partnership with India is very much based on mutual trust and sharing experiences and technologies for a more sustainable future. In this context, innovation is key, and startups are innovators by definition. By the way, I am also glad to announce that in the coming months, we will open a new consulate general in the capital of innovation in India, that is Bangalore. Some of the startups included in today's panel have developed very innovative ideas. Among them, for example, there are some that are producing highly nutritious alternative protein that, in the long run, would also help eradicate the hunger in least developed countries. You will remember that Expo Milan 2015 was based on the theme Feeding the Planet, Energy for Life, and we have been working extensively over the years towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal number 2. I have also to say, since I was one of the promoters at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Expo Milan 2015, that both the Italian Cuisine Week in the world and the Future Food Institute are an heritage of Expo Milan 2015. Because from that event, we promote all over the world projects, initiatives, activities of Italy focus on sustainable food and sustainable agriculture. Before handing the floor over the next speaker, allow me to thank again Sara Roversi and Future Food Institute, Good Food Institute from India, the 6 Italian and Indian startups for coming together today. Thank you also to Easy Diner for the collaboration throughout the 6th edition of the World Week of Italian Cuisine in India. I'm looking forward to an insightful conversation with you ahead today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. We are very honored to be with you also this year. So our Future Food Institute started 9 years ago, and I'm very happy that you mentioned Expo 2015, because I think that 2015 has been really a game-changing year. In Italy, we were for the first time connecting the topic of energy, life, nutrition, health. But the same year, the Sustainable Development Goals were announced. The Paris Agreement was signed in COP21. The Laudato Si was published. So basically, 2015 has been the year in which we really started moving forward and creating this global awareness about the connection between food and climate change. And actually this year, our country, with the G20 and as well with the co-hosting of COP26, I think has been really an epicenter of the global dialogue and I would say global action to tackle those relevant challenges. So this year, our Future Food Institute is very delighted to support our Italian government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 8 different countries, really to start to talk about Italian cuisine as a soft power and as a way to build bridges and to share knowledge, because the challenges we are going to face are too big to be achieved just by one country. There are, I think, very big signals, because we see also big corporations starting working together, and we are not talking anymore about just competition, but we're talking about co-petition. We're starting to work together to achieve the goals. So it's pretty amazing to see that now, through these years, we started to build bridges connecting also the global startup ecosystem. So I'm very delighted today that our panelists are going to represent some of the best solutions to achieve the goals we all have to achieve together. So food, we see, is at the epicenter, is the nexus of the society, is what is connecting us with the care of the planet and the care of our community, the health of our community. We have been talking in these days a lot about the concept of One Health while talking of the Italian cuisine in the world. Why? Because when we're talking about food, we are talking about something that gives us the power to take care and to care about the health of our communities and of, say, the entire humanity. So I look forward to hear from our startuppers the interesting solutions they are going to present us. And for the ones that are following us, I invite you to learn, to study, to deep dive, and to think every time you gather around the table about what you're eating. Because every single time you gather around the table, you're honoring your past, because food is identity, food is heritage, food is part of your traditions, it's culture. You're also experiencing the present with the people that are sharing food with you. Convivium is the epicenter and the pillar of Mediterranean diet, but convivium is something good because around the table, you never fight. Around the table, there are only fruitful conversation. Around the table, you share something that is part of love. But also, every time you gather around the table and you choose what to eat, you are taking a strong decision about your future. So you need to be very conscious about what you're eating and think about what you're choosing. So I look forward to hear more from the startup. Thank you so much, Ambassador. And thank you so much to the team of the embassy, the amazing team from the embassy that are supporting Italian industries to build bridges and to share knowledge. And of course, I also thank my amazing colleagues that have been working in these months to connect us with the entire planet, from Chile to Kazakhstan to Berlin, and all the embassies that we are virtually or physically visiting during this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Warren, you're up next. Thank you so much, Sarah, for those wonderful, inspiring comments. And to His Excellency Vincenzo, those were really, really wonderful words. I will keep my comments brief because I want to throw over to the startups that we are spotlighting. But of course, thank you very much to the embassy. Thank you to Future Food Institute. Thank you to everyone here for your partnership. Food is, as Sarah said, I want to echo what she said. Food is one of the things that binds all of us. I think we all know that India and Italy are very food-centric countries, and Italy's wonderful influence in food is felt all over the world, not least in India, where we love our Italian food. Maybe we spice it up a little bit more in the Indian tradition, but it is one of those things that binds us. Food is, as Sarah also said, one of the things that's at the center of the future of our planet. The past of our species, but also the future of our planet. We at the Good Food Institute India work specifically in alternative proteins because we care about all of the things that everyone assembled here cares about, right? We care about climate change, we care about safety, we care about food security, and we believe that this question of how we're going to feed 10 billion people by the year 2050 without impacting the planet negatively is central to the future of our species. If we're going to do this, diversifying protein supply is one of the things that we need to focus on. And I'm delighted that some of the startups here today are going to speak about their efforts in this direction. I do want to highlight, as His Excellency said, one particular angle to this that goes even beyond sustainability. We believe in a place like India that we can set an example for what the context of alternative proteins looks like in the developing world. As an example, we have about 41% of the world's population living in low and middle income countries, but we suffer 75% of the world's foodborne illness-related deaths. We have tremendous burdens of undernutrition and now even malnutrition of different types, diabetes, obesity, etc. Right? So thinking about how we can address these problems is key. And the context for all of these things is very specific and different in places like India. So we are delighted to work with the embassy, with Future Food Institute, with everyone assembled here today to try and establish what we're calling smart protein corridors between different countries. Countries like Italy, with your wonderful influence, your cuisine, your heritage, can help us create these ties with startups, with investors, with chefs, with corporations, with governments that really benefit all of us together. As Sarah said, we're really talking here about mutual gain, right? This is in smart protein or alternative protein, there is an emerging space race with different countries competing against each other, but we also believe that there's a huge opportunity for mutual gain, right? So with our complementary strengths, we really hope to build out this smart protein corridor. And I'm grateful to everyone here, especially His Excellency Sarah, the teams at the Embassy and Future Food Institute, and to all of you in the audience for joining us here today. Now I want to hand back to Chavi so that we can hear from these exciting startups.
Thank you, everyone. That was super inspiring. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Varun. All right, so quickly, I'm Chavi from the Future Food Institute, and I'll be moderating this session. And I'm really honored because I actually had the honor to be born in a country like India and to be living in Italy, two of the world's greatest and richest culinary cultures and heritages. India and Italy, both heavily agricultural economies, both with a strong foundation in plant-forward lifestyles, both hold very close to their heart traditions, rituals, family, and at the same time are driving some of the most cutting-edge transformations and innovations around the globe. And we're going to have 6 examples of those with us right now. Let's head over to our startups. I'm going to pass the mic to Lca Study, the project manager at Lca Study. Each startup will have sharp 3 minutes so that we can have some time for a discussion at the end. And I'm going to have a little buzzer at 3 minutes sharp so we can keep the event going. Lca, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, and thank you for your invitation. You can start, okay? I'm Lca Study, co-founder and CEO of Lca Study. Lca Study is an Italian startup. We are in Apulia region, and we produce spirulina, microalgae, to feed in a sustainable way. Today, producing food has an economic and environmental impact, and our system is no longer sustainable. It's necessary to reverse the trend. We need an agricultural revolution. Next one. Which food in our dishes? Today, the quality of food, but often even more so than the lifestyle we have, does not offer us the right nourishment. And therefore, we suffer more and more from problems related to bad eating habits. Next one. how to feed in a sustainable way an increasingly populated world. Next one, every year we consume the equivalent of a world and a half. Usually when we think of sources of pollution, we think industries. Indeed, the primary sources of pollution on the planet are agriculture and intensive farming. Next one. So we think spirulina may be one of the solution of these problems. We produce natural, 100% pure and organic spirulina. We realize research and in the field of microalgae. We study new functional food and organize dissemination and awareness activities. Next one. FAO defines spirulina as the food of the future, not only for its nutritional characteristics, but also for its environmental sustainability. Spirulina is a superfood. Next one. Spirulina has many benefits. For example, is a natural energizer, detox, and natural source of iron. Next one. But spirulina is good for man and environmental. We use a 1/5 of the water to obtain the same protein as beef. For each kilo of spirulina produced, about 2 kilos of CO2 from the environment are fixed. Next one. This is the greenhouse spirulina Pugliacundi plant production, the largest covered spirulina plant in Europe in circular economy. 3,000 square meters, 5,000 expected for next year. Next one, we have built a new plant production in a circular economy after joining Andriani Group that produce naturally gluten-free pasta. After a treatment of water, we reuse water of pasta to produce spirulina, and we use spirulina dried as an ingredient of pasta. In this way, we impact even less on the environment. Next one, there are some Pugliacundi products. And next one, for us, for Pugliacundi, innovation is the close interdependence between man and environment. Next one, thank you for your attention.
Perfectly in time, and that's a beautiful ending as well. It's about harmony between nature and humans. Okay, the next one is Antonio from Spirit. Please take the stage.
Good morning, everyone. The Spirit is the trademark of our product. We call it Algae. And we would like to develop microalgae supply chain as a healthy, sustainable, and cost-effective superfood. Next one, please. We know right now that agriculture suffers of different problems, but we are obliged to sustain this health system because we need to eat. We know that 40% of the greenhouse gas emission come out from agriculture system right now. Next one, please. And with the rate of population increase, we need more land. Actually, of course, we can move to the other planet, for example, Mars, and colonize it and replicate our system. But it's not so easy to do that. Next slide, please. Another problem is about the income of the farmer, because it's not sustainable. For example, in Europe, the average is so low and is based on subsidies. So there is no way to sustain this kind of system. Next one, please. The solution could be the regenerative agriculture and soil-less agriculture. We merge it, the next one, we merge it with cellular agriculture, means microalgae. Right now, microalgae could be valorized as a nutraceutical, superfood, antioxidant, and so on. But the superfood application could be the resolution. Next one, please. We just had the example from Danila, our colleagues, about the fantastic sustainability of spirulina in terms of nutritional and in terms of sustainability. But I would like to highlight that spirulina could substitute animal-based ingredients in our diets to make the greener. Next one, please. Here, an Lca study on Algae technology that demonstrates that just for 1 kilogram of protein come out from spirulina use 100 times less than animal protein, and even 10 or 25 less than any other plant protein. Next slide, please. Here are an example of our technology. We take advantage of circular economy and we take advantage of heat power from biogas plant in order to keep warmer the greenhouse where we produce spirulina all year round. Then with the patent technology, we can reuse bioproducts from food industry in order to extract minerals from it and sustain microalgae production in order to make a new product on the food system. Next slide, please. We organize ourselves in order to take advantage of this microalgae and apply in a food system and sustain also the farmer in order to make the production in high quality. Next slide, please. Here are some milestone that we reach thanks to the European Union community that support our research activity and some patent and publication that we have. Next slide, please. And actually, thanks a lot to be invited and for the inspiring words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antonio. That's a beautiful team picture. Next up, we have Nutra Foods. Adriana, please take the stage.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Adriana, co-founder of Nutra Food. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. Okay, every year along the Italian food supply chain, 3.6 million tons of food is lost, resulting in waste of resources, high cost of disposal for the food industry, and a negative environmental impact. Next slide, please. So, nowadays, the industry is looking for new solutions to extend the shelf life of their products and to optimize the cost of raw materials. On the other side, they also have to face the increasing awareness of institutions and consumers about food sustainability. So what's NutraFood doing right now? Please, next slide. We are collecting fruit and vegetable waste and byproducts to create 100% natural and nutraceutical ingredients for the food industry. Next slide. Indeed, our cryogenic process lets us preserve 100% of the starting nutritional values of the plants, such as fibers, proteins, vitamins, and antioxidants. This lets us enhance the performances of the products in terms of aroma, shelf life, and nutraceutical benefits. Next slide. Okay. Our purpose is to help the food industry do the first steps toward more sustainable choices in compliance with the SDGs. We are doing this by promoting to develop zero waste, more natural and nutritionally more balanced superfood and drinks. The next one. Okay. One of our strengths is definitely the link with our land. Upstream of the food supply chain, we help local companies reduce their disposal and environmental costs. Meanwhile, downstream, we aim to improve the formulation of traditional Italian foods. Let's think about pasta or basil pesto, tomato sauce, making the label more transparent and more clean for the final consumer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You gifted 20 seconds more to the rest of the startups. Appreciate it.
Okay, it was very fun.
Next up is Supplement Foods. Chirag, please take the stage.
Thank you so much. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I first want to just start by saying thank you so much for the opportunity to present here. It's great to see what everyone's doing in terms of bringing the ecosystem forward and to a place where we are now looking at a new food system with affordable ingredients that are also nutritious, sustainable, and tasty. And this is something that Saplant is also contributing to, because we see a lot of food formulators and ingredients users, CPG companies, that want this combination. We've developed a unique technology, which is patent pending, in order to take any raw material and convert it into its flavorless form, while also augmenting its functionality. And we've deployed this not to make protein isolates, because we see those as unsustainable. We see them as producing a lot of wastewater and other wastage. We deployed this towards flours. So we've taken humble bean flours and converted them into a state that can now be used as a protein isolate in various cases. Next slide, please. The first ingredient we've deployed this to is the chickpea, because chickpeas are nitrogen fixing, which means that they put nitrogen back into the soil and reduce the requirement for fertilizer. And in deploying our technology towards chickpeas, we've created a flour which is flavorless, but also has the properties of dairy in application. So you'll see later that we've made ice cream out of it, we make cheese out of it, and we've also got the ability to replace eggs to certain extents. We've deployed our technology on mung bean as well, and that gives a much better gelling property of egg. So what we're finding here is the ability to really take beans and convert them into a totally different form that can be used for the future of food. Next slide, please. As you can see over here, prominent Italian company, it's very relevant for them. They're making chickpea pasta. And we're in the process of working with companies like them to bring about a flavorless version of chickpea pasta, because this is ultimately what consumers want. Flavorless, highly functional, clean tasting, and good for you. Next slide, please. Similarly, as I said before, we can make plant-based cheeses now, which are not just starch-based, but actually carry nutrition and don't require 5 to 7 ingredients in order to give you that creamy mouthfeel and the perfect texture. Next slide again, please. Similarly, for ice cream, you can make delicious plant-based ice cream using protein isolates, but what about the environmental impact and what about cost? Here we have a flour that allows you to do the same thing and ultimately gives you that perfect feel at an affordable cost, while you're not really damaging the environment. Next slide again, please. And egg replacement, we've worked on egg replacements in pancakes, eggless cakes. We are working with some of the world's largest companies in the flour mix business. And so we're really excited to bring this to the world and to share it with everyone here. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chirag. Seems like you and the Soft Spot Foods should be collaborating. They're up next. Anushi.
Familiar face, Anushi.
Yeah. Thanks, Chirag. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. We can move on to the next slide. So next. Yeah. So the cheese market in India grows at about 26% every year and is expected to continue to do so. We have a lot of influence from Western cuisines, especially Italian, which is causing a lot of Indians to shift to Italian cheeses like mozzarella, parmesan, as I'll show you up ahead. Next. Italy is one of the capitals of the EU and the world for making cheese. It's a €6 billion market industry, and most of it is cow milk, apart from buffalo and sheep. Next. So everyone here already knows about this. I'll go through these slides quickly, but the 3 aspects of veganism, reason why all of us are here is because it impacts health, climate, as well as ethics. Next. India is the #1 producer of milk in the world. 50% of that is an unorganized sector. Next. Which means that 70% of milk in India is actually adulterated and does not meet food safety standards. A lot of urea, starch, formalin is used to bulk up the product. Next. The World Health Organization has actually warned the Indian government that if we don't regulate or do something about this, 87% of Indian citizens will face diseases like cancer by the year 2025. Next, please. 1 in 5 Indian women have PCOS, PCOD because of the hormones found in the bovine milk that we consume. Next, please. Climate impact. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So a third of, as so many of my peers today have mentioned, a third of the Earth's ice-free land is used to grow cattle feed, totally inefficient use of resources. Next, please. Again, we can see dairy and meat being the biggest culprits for greenhouse gas emission. Next. And water consumption, of course, against growing this cattle feed, cleaning the waste in these factory farms. Next, please. The cultural significance of dairy. So this is the fun part that I think all of us will relate to. Next slide. Just like Italy, India has deep cultural roots in dairy farming. We even have religious holidays around it. We use cheese in various Indian dishes like dosa, pav bhaji, Maggi noodles, pizza, of course. Next. This is our cheese in a Neapolitan style pizza with our soft mozzarella. And on the right, you can see it in a cheese samosa, which is very typical Indian snack, again with vegan cheese. Cheese is a source of comfort for people, and we're trying to provide an easy and equally delicious alternative for people who can't consume dairy. Next. Despite the uses in Indian cuisine and the richness of Indian cuisine, most of the cheese in India is actually used in pizza. Not surprising. Mumbai street pizza over here, you can see, sorry, you can go back. Yeah, the Mumbai street pizza, I don't know if they've really used enough cheese, but that's something we eat quite often on the street. And then we have the little coin pizzas. Next. These are all of our products. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that more than half of our products actually have their roots in Italian culture. So we have a soft mozzarella, which is like buffalo mozzarella. We have the yellow mozzarella, which is supposed to be more like a gratable processed mozzarella. We have the Parmesan, and then the truffle cheese spread. Next, please. Of course, when we start to deal with mozzarella and Parmesan, these cheeses have been around for hundreds of years, and we have to pay respect to that. We can't just call something Parmesan if we're not trying to give it that flavor, those different levels of flavor and the same texture. Next. On this flavor wheel, you can see the orange dots. Those are actually the flavor notes in Parmesan cheese, and the blue ones are for mozzarella. We try to replicate this in our vegan product because we are trying to give the customer an alternative that's true to the king of cheeses. Next. So this is our labeling. And if we go to the next slide, we have changed the Z. We have changed the S to a Z because we have to be, respectful of the heritage of Parmesan cheese. It isn't made, our cheese is not made in the region where Parmesan is made. So we of course can't call it Parmesan, but we do want to help the customers understand the application. Next. These are photos of our product in use at several fast food chains and standalone restaurants. Next.
Thank you.
And we've also, sorry, I just have three more slides. We've started catering to a lot of 5-star hotels as well as Little Italy Pan India. Next. And lastly, we're the only company in the world that makes these wheels of Parmesan cheese. This is a smaller one, but we have started much bigger wheels of Parmesan just to bring some of that joy and theater to people. Yeah. You can go ahead. These are just some of Pita India. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, I'm hungry now. Thank you for sharing. Let's go on to milk and oats. Ashna, you're up next.
Hi everyone. I'm Ashna, and today I will be talking about how milk and oats has been contributing towards the environment and helping in preserving the resources for our future generations to come. So do you realize that we have been overusing our resources since years? 75% of the land which was used for food production is actually being used for raising and feeding livestock. The food which is coming from the animal origin uses 8 times more water as compared to the food which comes from the plant-based origin. 15% of the global emission comes directly from meat and dairy production. Next slide, please. Dairy production actually does much more harm to the environment than the good it is doing to the people who are actually consuming it. And this is because cattle are the #1 sources of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. They contribute to approximately 4 to 5% of the greenhouse gas emissions. Dairy production has a major impact on the climate change due to emissions of methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. Dairy cattle contributes to 60% of the methane emissions and 1.3% to nitrous oxide emissions. Because methane traps 25 times more heat than carbon dioxide, so today all of us is actually experiencing impacts of global warming. Next slide, please. Coming to India, we all know that India is the world's largest producer of milk, contributing to 14% of the total global milk production. And this is primarily because India has the largest cattle population. And this is because India is the world's lowest beef consumption country. Because India is the lowest beef consumption country, we have a very high number of shrinking livestock, which leads to India being the third largest carbon footprint country, which contributes to 7% of the total greenhouse gas emissions, which is much higher than the emissions coming out from the vehicles. Next slide, please. Much before we started Milking Oats and we came across these stats, we actually wanted to offer Indians with the plant-based milk that can replicate the dairy milk usage without hampering the experience of the Indian consumers, but also that milk needs to be eco-friendly and should make our nature happy. So we did some research on different kinds of crops, how much water they have been using in terms of their production. So these are below. 1 kg of almonds actually requires 16,000 liters of water. 1 kg of soybean requires 95,000 liters of water, whereas 1 kg of oats requires only 2,000 liters of water for their growth. Next slide, please. Coming to the water usage during the milk production of different crops, almond milk uses 384 liters of water, soy milk uses 297 liters, dairy milk uses 1,000 liters of water, and oat milk uses only 48 liters of water. So we have come to a conclusion that oat milk is one of the most eco-friendly milk and has the lowest carbon footprint around the world. Next slide, please. Milking Oats was started actually with the vision to offer Indian consumers with an experience of a dairy milk only and a milk which is 100% sustainable and eco-friendly. Currently, we have these 3 milks in our portfolio, which is Barista's Choice Oat Milk, Classic Oat Milk, and Chocolate Oat Milk. The USP that Milking Oats have been offering to the Indian consumers is that this milk can be exactly used like the dairy milk in every Indian kitchen. In India, people actually have been using dairy milk from their childhoods in their teas, coffees, beverages, in their Indian sweet dishes, Indian gravies, in baking, and a lot of things. Similarly, this oat milk can be used exactly the same way. Next slide, please. Oat milk not only tastes good, but is also have a very less carbon footprint as compared to any milk substitute available in the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashna. Thank you, everyone. Perfectly in time. I love that. And these were such amazingly built out slides. I'm glad I was a part of this session. So the next session segment that we have a few minutes less because of the initial issue, but we're going to talk to you. We're going to ask you a few questions and we're going to discuss about where we can take these ideas and innovations forward and what does the future look like, which is enabled by companies and startups like yours. Okay, my first question is to Apulya Kundi. Your product is largely based on algae, which in some cultures like African and Mexican cultures is pretty ancient, while in other cultures it's very new. So how, according to you, the landscape has changed in the acceptance of these novel ingredients and products in a span of 5 to 10 years or whatever you've seen?
Okay, thank you for your question. When we start this innovative business project 10 years ago, it was a challenge because no one was producing and talking about algae and spirulina in Italy. In these years, people have become more attentive to both the quality of food and the impact of food on the environment. Our commitment is twofold. In fact, we carry out awareness and information activities on the link between food production and environmental impact on the nutrition and lifestyle, in particular in school. Furthermore, through spirulina-based product, we spread a new food as an ingredient in common foods for our culture. In fact, our first functional food was pasta, pasta with spirulina, to introduce spirulina through a food that is eaten every day in Italy. Today, sales trend of spirulina and spirulina-based products are growing. For example, at the beginning of the new partnership with Andriani, leader in the world in the production of naturally gluten-free pasta, we produce 5 tons of Felicia brand pasta with spirulina. But that's just the beginning. Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's interesting. So your 2 ways that you've seen is by introducing it at younger ages, so in schools, and introducing it in more culturally accepted products and dishes and ingredients like pasta. That's great. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
moving from the consumer perspective on spirulina to a more industry perspective, my question is for Spirit. How can the industry start including more of such plant-based functional ingredients? Is it the nutritional value, and how do we really start creating an overall acceptability at the industrial level?
Well, thank you for the question. Actually, we know already that microalgae has really is plenty of nutritional value, and this, of course, this is the most valuable for constructing new product for the industry. But what affect the use of spirulina in the industry actually is the cost. The production cost is really high compared to other kind of ingredient. This is limiting on the use of this exceptional product. This is the real next step, and that we should take on count, because if you compare, for example, protein that come out from soya, it's 0.3 euro per kilo. Compared to spirulina, it's at least 2 times more. So it's really impossible for industry take over protein from soy or other plant-based because of 2 reasons. The scale of the production, because half of the planet is planted by soy, and technology itself. And technology is the key that could be decrease the capex cost and opex cost in order to produce spirulina in an affordable way and take over the protein.
In how many years do you envision that the price to be dropping?
Actually, we had the technology in order to decrease the cost now. So it's a real.
Okay. It's an open call to everyone who's listening, who's open. Spirit is open for partnerships. Thank you so much. Moving on to ingredient companies, different kinds of ingredient companies, let's say. NutraFood. My question is for you, actually starting from a comment that how Italian cuisines and also Indian cuisine to a large extent is historically based on agricultural and rural cultures where 100% of the food is valued. Everything is utilized. And that is something, that is our legacy, that's our heritage. But today we are talking about that as an innovation. So in your ideal scenario, how do we bring that past into the future, and how do you hope to engage with the industry today?
Okay, thank you for the question. In the few next months, we are about to start some pilot projects with some Italian food and beverage companies, which are our partners. Within this project, we will supply some product samples and will follow our partners during all the stages of the development of the final products. Next, we are going to carry out some analytical and consumer tests to further validate the effectiveness of our ingredients. Currently, our production is at the stage of laboratory production. But in the next future, we aim to extend our target to the European markets, and we would like to develop new fields of application, such as pet food, cosmetics, and nutraceutical ones. As I already told you, currently our technology is only based on a laboratory production, but in the future, of course, our technology is scalable, as it's possible to increase the production capability from about 100 kilo per hour to production of several tons with, of course, more positive environmental impacts. Thank you.
Thank you. So your scope for scaling is really also beyond food. And I think that's an amazing direction.
Thank you.
Soft foods, thank you. So going from past to the future, today startups like yours are signals, weak signals of a different future, different scenario that we can envision. How do you envision a world that is enabled by advanced proteins?
Sure. So the food we eat today is a product of agricultural product that's been available over the last few centuries. And we've seen how hybridization and now GMO has changed a lot of that, standardized it, and improved it. But as we look to the future, we see an entirely new set of possibilities, and we see more creativity that is being brought to the fore as food formulators post things on YouTube, and then people pick it up and then make their adaptations on it. So the speed of innovation has increased, and the access to ingredients and what they're doing has also changed. When we look at some of the advanced proteins or ingredients that we make and work with, the possibilities have become so much more than what the old food system or the current food system would provide us. You can get better emulsions, better foams, more gelling capabilities at lower dosage, opening up a whole plethora of opportunities. And we're looking forward to being at the center of that. We're hearing that from customers as well, that they're just seeing possibilities that weren't there before, or were there but were limited by cost. And the answer is to find that combination of sustainability, taste, affordability, and nutrition. So yeah, we're excited about what's coming.
I can imagine like a whole shelf filled with the different versions of your ingredients. Super excited to see that too. Let's go on to our next question, which is for soft spot foods. A part of that actually you answered in your presentation as well, how India is one of the largest milk consuming markets in the world, and it's heavily dairy based food culture. It's a part of our most important ceremonies. What motivated you in a country like this in a culture like this, to start a plant-based cheese brand?
Definitely the health impact and the environmental impact. Everyone here is aware of that. So I won't elaborate too much on that, but considering how unregulated our dairy sector is and how deeply people love cheese, it's so hard to give it up. It just felt like there should be a cleaner alternative for people to enjoy. And I think there was a second part, right, about the retail.
Yeah. How do you think the sector has been evolving across retail and food service in India?
I think that it's a chicken or egg situation where we need customer awareness, and a lot of our restaurant partners and hotels are a little nervous to put vegan cheese on the menu because they are not aware of the demand. But a lot of customers don't even know that there is an option of vegan cheese. So the minute they can put it on the menu and keep it there for many, many months, it is growing. I mean, through the pandemic, we've seen so many different, like hotels to street vendors, everyone show an interest in dairy-free options.
Wow, can't wait to see the coin pizza in Mumbai with the vegan cheese.
I thought we should show our Italian friends what we've done to their pizza.
Yeah, that's a very innovative format of pizza. Let's say it's like on the spot. Thank you. So milk and dairy are symbols of prosperity in our culture and cuisines, right? So how does Milky Notes see these recipes evolving in Indian kitchens? And how is the average consumer beginning to think about sustainability in their everyday lives, according to you?
So I think Indian food is deep rooted in our Indian culture. Since childhood, we are habitual of having certain Indian foods, which is like Indian sweet dishes, Indian gravies actually, and all of these food products have been using milk and certain dairy products while they're making. And there has been no alternative for that since years. But when we started Milk and Oats, we had a clear idea in our head that we have to get out a milk which can be used just like dairy milk in our Indian kitchen. And that's how we have been doing the R&D on the product. And that's how we have got oat milk out. And that is what the USP of the brand has been, that it's a plant-based milk, but it is actually used exactly the same way how people have been using dairy milk in the Indian kitchen. And it doesn't hamper any experience of Indian food in the Indian kitchen. So that has been the focus of Milk and Oats as well, in addition to the sustainability factor. And what was the second question?
That how do you think the average consumer is beginning to think about sustainability in their everyday lives?
So through my personal experience also, I think in India, everyone is experiencing the impact of global warming when there have been extreme, some like very high summer temperatures and very low winter temperatures also. And these are all impacts of the global warming. And I also see people around me talking about sustainability and how they should take even one step towards sustainability. So I think everyone, at least in India, has started thinking about sustainability. And I'm talking about an average consumer only, be him or her be a vegan or non-vegan, but definitely they are thinking about sustainability and how they can contribute towards it.
That's good news. Thank you, everyone. This was a great round of going deeper into what it means, taking your industries and taking your our innovation ecosystems forward. I'm going to pass the mic back to Sarah and the ambassador to wrap up our session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the approach that all the startups and our innovators has been sharing. And I want to thank Varun because we met for the first time many years ago. And from when both our organizations started, probably we have seen the global awareness growing and growing. There's still so much that needs to be done, but I love the way how our two organizations are joining forces and working on the different side, really to nudge this move forward towards actually a world that is going to be more inclusive, more sustainable, more healthy and good for all, let's say. I want to highlight something because when we talk about the future of proteins, we are touching a very, say, hot topic. Overall, when we talk about this market in countries like Italy, for example, where transitions are very strong. So I found myself always exposed to many different debates and conversations. And actually, I think that this is something very important in which startup like yours needs to become kind of a cultural agent, because what we are seeing is that actually we need to make sure that we are preserving culture, identity, traditions. And through our innovation, we can lead our traditions to the future. So it's not going to be an easy challenge because we're talking about practices, agricultural practices that are part of our identity as well. So it's pretty interesting to see which are the scenarios for the future. We all know that we need to nudge our communities to change their eating habits, to see that there are different options that are less impactful and that are basically more positive for their health and the health of the planet. But we need also to be good to tell the story in the proper way, because this is the most critical thing. When we talk about food, we're talking about something that is touching the heart of people. So I thank you for all your efforts because the revolution that you're going to do inside the global food system is going to be huge. And you are dealing not only with sustainability, but also with identity and culture and ideologies and sometimes also religion. And so it's something very, very important. So the transition you are supporting, I think it's crucial and is highlighting how important it's food. So I thank you so much, and I invite you to connect and reconnect and really tell us how we can be helpful and how we can support your companies, your organizations to become even more spread around. I take advantage also to thank the team and of course the embassy for the incredible work they're doing behind the scene also along the year to support innovation. And so thank you so much. And I want to also hear from Varun, because I think that the Good Food Institute is working very hardly since years and years to help this move to be spread more and more.
Unfortunately, Varun had to leave, but we have Nicole here from the Good Food Institute, if you want to add something.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much to all the startups that presented here today. I think all the startups, like you said, Sarah, they're so critical in building this food tradition and really cannot lose sight of where our backgrounds come from and where these food stories come from. And I think it's through coordination and partnership with institutes like ours, coming together and really pushing forward this future of food, both in Italy, in India, and globally. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you to the Embassy of Italy for bringing our two organizations together once again, and really looking forward to our growing partnership both in Italy and in India.
Thank you so much. And let's say this is one of the hot topics, but there are some relevant areas of innovation that we have been mapping out through our journey together with the Italian Embassy and the Italian Trade Agency and the organization that have been part of the innovation journey we started last year, Xavi. So I think that we have to keep our eyes open and pay attention also to automation in agri-tech, Industry 4.0 and 5.0, all the energetic transition that we're facing, sustainable packaging, reducing the adoption of unuseful plastic, because plastic sometimes is good and is useful, but we need to become conscious on how we use plastic in the proper way and when is needed, as well as the topic of tackling food waste and food loss and all the different areas of innovation that we see emerging and developing more and more, that are all areas of innovation that finally are pushing the industry seeing sustainability not anymore as a cost, but industries finally are finding sustainability as a business strategy to lead, a strategy that they have to follow if they want to see their industries alive in the next decades ahead. And we're gonna for sure keep going, putting all our energies to support the growth of all of those innovations.
Thank you so much. The presentation Sarah is referring to can be found on the YouTube channel of Embassy of India, where we mapped out the different areas of innovation for sustainability in India. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. And we're going to keep going on our global marathon, connecting the world and all the Italian embassies that during this week are being pretty engaged and involved in talking about traditions, yes, but under the lens of innovation. Thank you so much, Xavi, and thank you all for joining this session.